All right, let's go. Welcome back, folks, to episode number 57 of the HKT Podcast. Today we're joined by Aaron Baker, but before we do that, I gotta tell you that this episode is once again supported by our friends at SAXX underwear, in particular the Legend short. So here in the UK, it's becoming chilling season. Nights are starting to draw in, and when you get home from a ride or whatever it is that you're out there doing, you're gonna want to be comfortable. The Legend short is the ultimate loungewear. I best describe mine as like a basketball short, but they also feature an inner liner with the ballpark pouch. They're anti-odor, and they also have a hidden pocket for your phone as well. So just check those things out. They're amazing. I love mine. I wear them almost every evening when I'm sat around on the couch or working or whatever it is that I'm doing. You can find out more information over at saxxunderwear.com or just ask your local bike shop, running store or outdoor clothing supplier to order you a pair. Simple as that. We are also supported by 35bikes.com. 35 Bikes is our in-house brand at HKT Products, and we specialise in making the best bike components for the best prices. We offer brake pads. One of our best-selling products is our brake pads. They are second to none, and the pricing is incredible as well. Pads start at just $6.99 for organic or $10.99 for sintered, and you can get those on 35bikes.com. If you enter the promo code podcast, you'll also get 10% off your entire order, and you'll also get free shipping too. And that's it for the business. We're going to crack on now with episode number 57, hand it over to Ollie Wilkins, and also some fresh intro music from Zeb, but more on that after you've heard it.
Hi, I'm Ollie Wilkins, and this is the HKT Podcast. Hold tight, freshers. Okay.
Let me tell you a story. Let bygones be bygones. The river life won't flow. There's plenty more fish in the swan hair, so I'm home now. Give me love,
Ow! How good's that? Wow. Let me tell you about Zeb real quick. I first heard Zeb at an event in the UK called the Malvern Hills Classic. And I believe it was a Friday night. We were just hanging around our little campsite and stuff with the guys from SAXX. And in the distance, you could hear these beats. And you know how it is at an event. It could have been a CD or it could have been some ropey old cover band. But we walked down there and there's this long-haired dude, Hawaiian shirt, banging on a suitcase. Turns out to be Zeb. Zeb used to race World Cup downhill. He's from South Wales, which is relatively local to where we are. And his music's rad. And he's gone all in on this stuff as well. So I wanted to try and help him out a little bit on the podcast by playing one of his tracks. That tune is called Love of a Dead Man. And it's available on iTunes, Spotify, YouTube, etc. And I've also put a couple of his tracks in our Spotify playlist as well, which you can find just by searching the HKT Podcast. So go over there and give it a listen. I'll play this whole track out as well at the end of the podcast so you guys can crank it in the van or the car or whatever while you're traveling or doing what you do. Yeah, there we are. What else is happening? Podcast boxer shorts. Huge thank you to everybody who bought a set of the HKT Podcast collab SAXX underwear. I screwed up, didn't quite take into consideration the power of the podcast sometimes and oversold by 3 times. But there's more on the way. So those people who haven't received them yet, I'm really sorry. I didn't expect that to happen. I guess they were pretty cheap. 15 quid, 15 pounds instead of 25. And obviously there were a collab as well of the Vibe. So there's more on the way. They should be here in the next couple of days. Don't know when you're listening to this, but right now it's Wednesday, the 12th. So hopefully by the end of this week, they'll be available, but I'll post on our social media networks when there's some more, and you can go grab a set if you didn't in the first run. And today's guest is an inspirational dude. We go into this a little bit more in the podcast, but I sat and watched his documentary on Netflix called Coming to My Senses, and his story is incredible. Aaron, he basically defied all odds and was he's quadriplegic. Sorry, I always screw that word up. He's quadriplegic, and doctors gave him a 1 in a million chance of ever walking again. But he's done some incredible things since he got that news. He's walked across Death Valley. He's travelled across the USA on a bike with his mum. He's done it twice, actually. And he's just got so much stuff going on. He's an inspirational dude, and I just wanted to have him on the podcast for a chat. So I hope you guys enjoy the conversation. If you haven't already, head over and watch Come Into My Senses. It's on Netflix. It's available now globally. It's everywhere in the world. So you've got no excuses. Sign up. If you don't sign up, borrow your mates and give it a watch. And enjoy this episode, guys. It was a blast.
Check one. Check one.
You're
One,
a pro.
two.
You're a pro, dude. All right. Let's rock and roll, man, if that's good.
Yeah.
Okay, quick intro. On today's podcast, we are joined by Aaron Baker, who is the star of the Netflix documentary Come Into My Senses, which me and my girlfriend sat and watched a couple of weeks ago, one evening while we were just doing a little bit of Netflix and chill. And I love the documentary, man. It was amazing. So, yeah, huge congratulations for what you guys made. It's sick.
Cheers. That means so much to me to know that it's reached across the pond and your couch and you and your lady were able to enjoy it and relate in some way on some level.
Yeah.
Because I know there are a lot of levels or at least layers to that.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. I mean, it's I think for me, it hit a lot of, like you said, different levels because I grew up racing motocross. So I had that same sort of, relationship with my dad of traveling around and, spending a bunch of time together. And I think it's stuff that at the time you don't know how much that like means later in life. Do you know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
it's just amazing times. So like it hit me on that level because I always think about, going racing with my dad when I was younger and like doing all that stuff. And then obviously the way the documentary goes with your accident and stuff hits you on those levels as well, man. I think it even brought a tear to the dog's eye when we were sat watching it.
That's awesome. Well, I mean, to that point of traveling around with Pops and racing moto, so much of what I do today and how I live my life is based on those fundamentals that I learned as a kid racing dirt bikes.
Yeah.
Yeah. I learned a tremendous amount about discipline and sacrifice and how to control fear and confidence and ego and skill and all these things. And, I learned that really young racing with my dad.
Yeah, no, same, mate. Same, exactly the same. We spent many years traveling around the circuit and, I wasn't anywhere near, going professional or anything like that, but still it's those experiences of traveling around and spending so much time together and yeah, you pick up stuff. And this is before, iPhones and social media and stuff. So you literally had to sit in a field and chat to people, man, and talk to my dad and, read maps and stuff. So yeah, I came away with a bunch of life experiences from it, I think. And it's cool because, even now, I'll speak to my dad and family and he still looks back at those times and it's, it's fond memories, man. It's really fond memories. We had so much fun. So I think your documentary hit me on that level for sure because it makes you like reflect and think about all those sort of times that you have.
That's funny. My dad and I, we always talk about those times. Those are, I think, his fondest memories.
Yeah.
So as much as I like to talk about, current affairs and what's happening in business and, future projects, my dad and I always end up going back to those days of racing dirt bikes and traveling and just, camping out at the racetrack.
It's crazy. I mean, one thing I always think about is I remember when I was 16, I moved to California and I lived there for 4 years, give or take. I came home in between and stuff just to sort of like refresh my visa and all that sort of boring shit. But I remember the day I left and my dad saying, like, what am I going to do? Like, you're not going to be here. What am I going to do every weekend? And it almost like, I don't know, really like affected me because I was like, wow, this means so much to him, just spending time together and, spending a lot of money as well on going racing.
I think about my dad and like, he's just a general contractor. He swings a hammer. Doesn't make a whole lot of bread, but
Same.
put so much into those dirt bikes and stuff when I was a kid. Hats off to Pops.
Dude, same, man. I remember, not to go on about myself here too much, but I remember I had one of the very first 2004 CRF 250s. The
Nice.
first year they made it, and we got one of the first ones which came into the UK. 2 weeks later, somebody broke into the house, stole it, and I'm like in pieces, dude. I'm gutted.
Yeah.
My dad's self-employed. He's a motor car mechanic, so again, he didn't make a lot of money. We weren't very. We were definitely working class,
Sure.
And then I remember, that happened. The insurance didn't pay out because we didn't have a lock on the garage door. All this crooked shit, and a week later, I came home and there's just a brand new bike again, and I still have no idea how he did it. Like where this money came from, I have no idea. But I think it's his hobby as well. Do you know what I mean? Just seeing me go race. So yeah, fond memories, man. Really fond memories, and it's good that the documentary makes you think about those times and stuff.
Nice.
If
Well,
my-
that's cool.
If my dad knew how to work Netflix, I think he'd enjoy watching too.
That's right.
So there's a bunch of stuff I wanted to talk to you about, obviously.
Sure.
Stuff that I think maybe the documentary didn't go too deep on, which I wanted to talk to you about.
Mm-hmm.
But the first point, which again, coming at this from like a motocross / action sports fan, what like level were you riding at before you had your accident?
I had just turned professional in November of 1998.
Right. Okay.
So I had a pretty good amateur career. I won some of the big races, Loretta Lynn's, Ponca City, World Mini, the fun ones.
yeah.
And then I was making this transition, and I didn't have a lot of guidance. At that point, I was traveling a lot on my own. My dad was doing his thing. I had a mechanic, and I had signed with a team called Stiffy Suzuki out of Southern California. It was the team that started wearing the over the boot gear.
I remember the LBZ.
Kind of like LBZ, but it was called Stiffy.
Okay.
I had been with Fox since '95, so I wasn't feeling that. I was actually the asshole that kept wearing Fox
Really?
while I was practicing, on their bikes and stuff. But anyways, so 1999, I had entered in a few supercrosses. I had some issues, local races. I was just trying to make that transition into pro.
Right.
And did some arena crosses, some stuff in the Midwest, Texas, Oklahoma. What did I do? Branson, Missouri. Bunch of stuff, but I wasn't making any waves. I was just that rookie pro, totally unguided, making mistakes.
And you were pretty young too, right?
I mean, I was 20, but
Right.
that's not that young in that sport. I mean, at 20,
That's
you should
true.
be
Yeah, that's
sex.
true. It still trips me out, when they talk about like Chad Reed. It's like, oh, he's one of the oldest guys. He's 32 or whatever he is, and you're like, shit, I'm 31. I'm past it. If there was ever a dream of turning professional, it's like it's out the window right now.
Yeah, young man sport. So,
Yeah.
I mean, I had started cashing my checks, and the sponsor was pretty good, bikes and all my stuff, and just getting it going. But I was a little conflicted at that time. I remember, because I had been exposed to a lot of other stuff in life. My mom always took me traveling. She had an import business, so I always traveled the world with her. She always got me into music and culture and all these other things. And so at that time, when I was kind of struggling as a rookie pro, and I knew there was just so much more to life than just trying to dig out this career.
Wow. Okay.
So it's like my heart was still set on winning a championship. Like that's what I always wanted to do. I wrote it down on a big poster board in my room when I was little. It said, I, Aaron Baker, will be a Supercross and Motocross national champion. And that was my poster.
Vision board.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
And I did that as an amateur. I mean, I won amateur national championships, but professionally I was struggling. And so I just started to have this like mature thought of like down the road, what am I really going to be doing?
Yeah.
What does my future really look like? And it was really at that time when all hell broke loose and I broke my neck.
Right. And what's interesting there is, like, I think there's a lot of young kids, the schoolboys that come up through the ranks that all they know is motocross or whatever sport that, you know, that they've committed to. You know, they go homeschooled and every day is spent at the track and then every weekend is at the races. And like, you know, I think you're in an advantage because you had some culture and some, you know, you've seen the world outside of Paris or Glen Helen Raceway or wherever it might be, you know. Hopefully not Paris. That place is a shithole.
I've spun many laps around that. But yeah, man, that was this strange transitional period where I was seeking a bit more, I think, but conflicted, you know, because my heart was in moto. I mean, I'd done it since I was 5 years old.
Yeah, it's crazy though, because a lot of young kids, you know, they hit pro, maybe make some money, and you just see it spiral out of control as well. So if
they burn out.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, guys like Izzy is a good example, right? You know, he spun out of control almost. I had, do you know Kevin Kolb? He does the sick recovery stuff. It's Kevin Kolb. He came on here for an episode, like one of the first episodes we did. He runs sick recovery, and he was there. Nico is his mentor. He's a super interesting guy.
Oh.
Yeah, you guys would probably get along pretty well. Yeah, he's a good dude, man. He came on because I was like just interested in what he was doing in regards to getting young athletes, basically, that have turned to drugs and that are having issues getting away from drugs. Yeah. He mentors them and brings them in and runs this big sick recovery program. It's pretty sick, literally, what he's doing. It's really cool.
Yeah.
But anyway, you guys, I'll try to link you guys up. I think you get on really well with David. Is it Kevin?
Please
David?
Do, yeah. Please.
Either or, I can't remember. One thing again, then, that the documentary sort of for me skipped out, and what I was really interested in is, do you remember the day of the accident? Because the documentary kind of instantly goes to your sister's reaction, right?
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, no, I vividly remember every moment.
Right.
Of that day. I mean, getting dressed in the back of the truck, putting my boots on left over right, you know, little superstitious things, you know, the ritual.
Yeah.
I remember, you know, shifting third gear right down this really rough straight, and right at the transition of the jump, the bike bogged out real bad.
Right.
And it booted me. It looked a lot like Ken Roxon's crash.
Really? When he broke his arm?
Yeah,
right.
That Supercross where it just bucked him.
Just booked him over the bars.
You see him just kind of rolling the windows up, just chasing the bike.
Yeah.
Exactly like that.
Right. No way. Yeah.
And I remember impacting the ground, just lawn darting. My arms didn't stop my fall at all. Mm-hmm. And I remember compressing I just hit the top of my head, and it just forced my chin down into my chest, and I could hear that. I heard my neck break. It sounds like snapping celery.
Wow. Yeah.
A wet snap echoed in my head. And I remember rolling down the backside of this, you know, the landing, and everything was numb. It was like a light switch, you know, just shut everything off in the body. So there was no pain. There was no feeling. It was like slow motion. I was watching my arms and legs flail. And that scene in the movie where it shows like me hitting the ground and my hand.
Yeah.
You know, that was what happened. Like my hand landed in front of my face, and I'm staring at my hand. My goggles are all filled with dust, and I'm just like laying there, barely breathing. And you know, that scene in the film is supposed to be a metaphor where I'm looking at my hand and I'm noticing a rock that's laying right next to my hand. And in that moment, there was very little distinction for me between my body and the rock, because we were both completely motionless.
Wow.
And if we were both left there undisturbed, we would have never moved.
Huh. Wow.
And that's gnarly. It's intense.
It is intense. Yeah. Yeah. It is intense.
So So yeah, I remember all of that. I
Wow.
remember instructing people that rushed to me not to touch me. Don't touch me. I knew my neck was broken. I said, call a helicopter, not an ambulance.
Wow.
You know, I knew it was gnarly.
Yeah.
And then even when the paramedics got there, you know, I was like, immediately, I know my neck's broken. Just get me the hell out of here. Get me to the hospital.
Wow. That's it is intense. It's really intense. Yeah. So you remember then everything as far as going to the hospital and all that sort of stuff. You remember the whole thing.
Yeah, I was pretty like vocal, you know, with the little bit of breath that I had. I was just like adamant that they don't take my helmet off. I wore that bell, Moto 5,
Yeah.
all the way into the ER room where they were poking me with a needle trying to determine if I could feel anything or not, and practically wore it all the way to MRI until they finally got it off.
Right.
So I remember all that very well.
Wow. That's yes, that is intense. That's really intense. Is there a reason that your description of it was missed out of the documentary?
Well, I mean, the documentary was like 3 hours at first. I mean, it's really
Oh,
hard
really?
There's so much more. I mean,
Yeah.
I actually had a respiratory failure, like a death experience, just a few days after
Right.
surgery. And, you know, that's the most like important or profound moment of my entire life. That's a very key part to this whole story, of which they decided not to elaborate on in the film because it's just like, it's overwhelming.
Yeah.
You know?
Wow.
So,
There's not many
we'll have
people
to,
that can say that, is there? You know, that they've had that experience, that's for sure. And
yeah, that's the real deal. That's holy shit.
yeah, it is. Holy shit, for sure. It is. So, God, I mean, like, what was that like? I mean, that really puts things into perspective, right?
Yeah.
I'm sorry to be sort of like open-ended on that,
No.
but it's rare you speak to somebody that's had an experience like that you can sit and ask, you know, like, what happens?
Yeah. Well, I mean, I like to talk about it. It can be a very long story, or it can be very short, and I can simply say that an analogy for me is, all right, I'll back up. So my lungs are filling with fluid. This is why I'm going through this. It's a complication. My body can't clear the fluid out of my lungs, so I'm like drowning. So, and what the doctors would do is they would put this like vacuum thing down my throat to suction out the fluid. They do that a few times a day. And on this particular day, I had a lot of fluid in my lungs. And right before the doctor was going to do this thing, she left the room. And she handed that device to my dad that was standing there. And I'm like looking at my dad, and I can't talk because I've got a ventilator down my throat and I can't move. And so I'm just like looking at him going, Dad, you got to understand, I'm drowning, like I'm suffocating.
Wow.
And so that moment is like immense struggle. Like I'm just trying to, it's a primal instinct to survive that it overtakes you. And, you know, it's like fighting in a straitjacket or something.
Yeah.
You know, you just, you're not going to win.
Yeah. It's almost impossible.
And ultimately, unless you're Houdini.
Fair point.
And in that moment, I could hear the machines flatline. I could hear that moment where my reality started to kind of dissolve and merge together. And science and religion and philosophy all talk about oneness and kind of an interconnectedness of everything, right?
Yeah.
That was my experience, where the analogy that I was going to point out is like a raindrop falling through the sky, and when it lands in the ocean, it becomes a part of the whole. Like it's instantaneously connected to this vast,
Everything. Yeah.
formless space.
Right.
And so that was my experience, where my body, my reality, my understanding and consciousness is all in this form, like a raindrop. And the moment I released, or the moment I let go, I immediately just became infinite.
Wow.
That was, and it's not like a spiritual thing. It's not like a light or a dark or a
No, it's just a feeling.
It's it's just like an awareness of just infinite potential. Like I'm formless. Like what Bruce Lee says, when you become water, you become formless, or you can become a shape. You can, be all these things.
Yeah.
And that was my experience.
Wow. It's powerful, man. Really powerful. And do you remember then, like, coming back and being back aware?
Yeah.
Wow.
Oh, definitely. That was like, it resuscitated me, and all of a sudden I have this consciousness again, and I open my eyes, and I'm looking around with this new perspective, this like real lust or reverence for life. And I'm looking at my mother and my grandmother, and I'm just here and now. Although I'm in a paralyzed body, I was so grateful just to be here. It was like, holy shit, here we go. Let's do it. This is amazing.
Wow. I'm so sorry we got so deep, like, so quickly. No. But that's super powerful, buddy. Like, really powerful. Wow.
Thank you. I cherish that moment, because that's what I really work hard at keeping that in my awareness on a regular basis.
Yeah.
But life has a great way of bombarding you or distracting you with all kinds of BS.
Dude, but you're so lucky to how do you put this? You're really lucky to have had that experience, because anything now that I'm guessing happens in your life, you can literally close your eyes, think about that, and everything's fine. Surely everything's just like put back into perspective, into its box, and you can be, you have that, you can carry that with you forever. It's wow, it's powerful.
Cheers. Thank you.
Wow.
I try to share that, and just the things that I do and say are harmonic or symbiotic, and somehow I can like pay that forward for other people to like spark them.
Yeah.
Fire them up to be limitless.
Well, a whole bunch of people have just heard that, dude. So you should definitely take pride in that. It's that's killer, absolutely amazing. Right. Yeah, wow. So what injuries did you get?
So I broke C.456 in my neck, which is like basically right in the middle of your neck.
Right.
I fractured C5, so they rebuilt C5 with a bone from a cadaver bone. C4 was fractured, C6 was fractured. They just put a plate, like a titanium plate, in the front and screwed it together.
Right.
So I've got one fat vertebrae right in the middle of my neck.
Okay. Okay. Wow. And obviously at this point, you're aware of what's going on. You're in hospital, family, and all that sort of stuff are around you. But what was the neurologist? Sorry, their impact obviously is really strong, because they can literally come and tell you you're not going to walk or whatever. Was that already starting to happen, or is that more of a slower process before they?
No, that's pretty common for neurosurgeon or the doctors to basically tell you what they think, their findings, their the way they prognosticate your future.
Yeah.
I actually, both my mother and I, and anybody that's close to me, we reject that kind of bedside manner. I don't think that's real fair.
No, I don't either. And I think that for somebody who is not as, mentally strong, that could, your life's already been altered, but it can like really be like, right, no, the doctors said no, so it's no, because so many people believe in that stuff, right? Like,
yeah, no, they hold a doctor as high as their priest,
as God. Yeah.
So what the doctor says goes, and that's bullshit.
Yeah.
I look at a doctor like a mechanic. He's a technician. You can tell me exactly what you're doing to me or my bike, and I'll listen. but you can't tell me that I'm not going to go out and win that shit.
Yeah.
Or you can't tell me, you know, what my future is going to be. And to group me into a statistic is not fair. That is a painful seed, man. And like you said, it can extinguish hope for people.
Yeah, that's it.
From the beginning.
Yeah, exactly. It's when you're at your most vulnerable as well. You know, you're laying there, and that news is delivered to you. It's probably, it can drastically affect the way you're going to approach it for the rest of your life because you've heard the neurologist say that to you or something. You know.
Yeah, it'll keep you from trying right from the beginning.
Yeah, and I think it's the same.
No, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, go on. No.
No, I think the bottom line is you know, the doctor should just be like, look, man, just here it is technically. Now the ball's in your court, and you get the opportunity to improve your life if you choose. You have to get real serious. You have to become a student of the body, and you have to challenge this thing and go all in. And I can tell you that your future is going to suck if you don't.
Yeah,
you know?
That's true. Yeah, definitely. I think from what I remember in the documentary, they said to you probably have like a 1 in a million chance of ever walking again. Is that right? Which is
what is it? Is it Dumb and Dumber when Jim Carrey says, "So you're telling me there's a chance?"
Yeah, exactly. But that is, you know, that can just kick you when you're down. You know, like you've got a 1 in a million chance. You know, it's just like right. Most people will go, well, there's no point even trying. Some people go, yeah, all right, let's hold on to that one. Let's make sure that one happens, eh?
Right.
So I guess news was delivered to you like that, and were you instantly in the mind frame of you're gonna not beat this, but you're gonna, you know, well, yeah, you did beat it, so fuck. You know.
No, I mean my mom did a great job of a lot of that negative language and energy out of the room. She set up a real tranquil space of meditation music and nature sounds and a water fountain. And so we just transformed that space into potential. And it was like, who is this guy telling us this information? I mean, you don't know us. You don't know what we're going to do. Yeah. The future was way too ambiguous and unclear. All we could do was focus on the moment and keep the space real positive and fertile for healing. And I did a lot of visualization. I mean, the techniques and stuff that I used as a, you know, athlete.
Yeah.
I started to apply that to my body. And instead of perfect laps and perfect technique, it was visualizing perfect synergy within this incredible body. And my sister painted my toes, and I started to like look at those colors and move that color through my body and connecting my mind to the muscles, because there's nothing wrong with the body. I mean, my body was strong as a young athlete. Yeah. It was just an electrochemical interruption in the signal.
Yeah.
So you have to, I would think about it like an amplifier, you know, in a car stereo.
Yeah.
You know, you get a small signal going in until it hits the amp, and the amp really magnifies the
really boosts her out. Yeah.
So I do that. Like, I think of my mind as like almost like a spark plug, you know, I'm sending like real intense signals.
And it's obvious that, you know, really helped and worked. Do you believe that what you did help? Does that make sense?
Well, I know that if I didn't do it, I probably wouldn't be sitting here.
Yeah.
So hell yeah.
Yeah, but the thing is, there's not really much, unless I'm mistaken, there's not that much science to back up mind over matter, other than people that have done it and that can recount it. You know?
Yeah. Well, you know, I think there's a great book by a guy named Bruce Lipton. Okay. He wrote a book called The Biology of Belief, and he speaks from a scientist. He's a cellular biologist, and he talks about the influence the mind has over the collective community of cells that it makes up our body. Yeah. And you can highly influence, you know, the body biologically with how you think and what you think, and you know. Yeah, I mean,
Wim Hof,
environment that you create.
Have you looked into Wim Hof much? I mean, what he does is incredible. By, you know, he's cured like illnesses just by meditation and breathing and being
exactly. You know, Paul Bass has been working with that dude.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Do you know Paul?
Yeah, I do.
Oh, do you?
He's
Okay.
a good dude.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I've spoken to him a few times via Instagram. Actually, he's a good friend. We distribute Center Scripts, which is Cam Zink's company in the UK. So Paul's a good friend of Cam. So we ended up talking between ourselves over Instagram. Actually, he was going to do an episode, but he doesn't. He is going to come on and do one. Actually, it's going to be towards the end of the year. But yeah, Paul is a good dude. So he's
going to have a brilliant film coming out.
Yeah. Oh, really? Okay. Awesome. Teaser. But yeah, I mean, what Wim's doing with that sort of stuff is incredible, and obviously I think there is more to it than science sort of writing it off and saying it's not possible. Have you carried on doing that sort of stuff then throughout the rest of your life? Has that been something that you always turn to? I know you still paint your toenails and stuff. Do you think if you stop doing it, will those pathways diminish over time, do you think?
Great question. Hell yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Depending on what I'm doing physically, like how much time and attention and work I put into my body, I either progress or I regress. It's dramatic.
Right.
I progress extremely slow and I regress incredibly fast.
Right.
Like
So
I'm just coming back from an illness last month. I got a parasite when I went to Mexico.
Mm-hmm.
So I had major problems and complications from this intestinal bug. And I lost so much weight so fast. My body started to shut down. Like I've been having crazy blood pressure problems and just all these complications from spinal cord injury. And that shit happens so fast, Davey. So I have to stay on it. I have to keep doing what I do.
Crazy. It's so interesting, man. So interesting. It's so interesting. So obviously you're in hospital, your sister paints your toenails and things sort of progress from there. I think it said it was around like 5 months or something where at that point the rehab was almost cut off.
Yep.
And at that point you were making quite a lot of progress. You'd almost already sort of done something which is almost impossible, which is you had flinches of movement. Is that right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, and that's the worst time for financial support to be, to cease.
Right.
And
so all that
where,
stuff gets cut, and what's the reason for that? Like, how come that happened?
That's just the system of the United States right now.
It's bullshit, bro.
I mean, it's worse now today than it was back then. I actually got quite a lot of therapy coverage back then. It's a fraction of that today. It's a crying shame, man.
Wow.
But yeah, that's when I was most depressed as well, because it's like I knew that I had more fire in me to work and to just put effort into the process, but my opportunities were being taken away.
Yeah.
And so I was pretty desperate, my family and me.
That was a really touching part of the documentary as well. You start making progress. What was interesting as well was it you who told the doctors that you've seen your toes move? I think it was, but they wouldn't believe you that it even happened. Is that right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh fuck now, dude.
So forget them. If they're not going to be on board and be a part of our team, then sucks to suck.
We'll prove you wrong. So the rehab gets cut. Are you literally then just left to fend for yourself, or is the wow, that's crazy. I think the system here is quite different. We've got the National Health Service, so you're covered. I don't know to what extent. I've got a few friends which have been in a similar position. A friend of mine actually, I think maybe 6 or 7 years ago, had a motocross crash and was left paralyzed. And I know you do get quite a lot of support, but I don't really know to what extent. But in the States, then it's literally like you're out, you're on your own. And do you then have to start looking for your own physio? You have to start paying for everything. Is that right?
Yeah, I mean, some insurances, depending on what kind of coverage you have, will, you qualify for some kind of treatments, but it's so few and far between. And that's what really got, motivated us to start the facility that we now run now.
Yeah. And were you still living in California, or did you get transferred back close to home? No, you were out.
No, I mean, I was living in California. So
Oh, okay. Sorry.
we're from California
Okay.
originally.
Right.
My mom had moved to the Midwest, Oklahoma, just to be closer to her family for a period of time.
Mm.
But, she relocated. She moved out, and we lived in the hospital for 6 months, and we lived in a motel room when we were discharged and just basically started over. So, yeah, once insurance coverage was done, then we started liquidating assets and funding the thing ourselves, and just shoot, man, starting over.
Yeah, for sure. I think obviously the documentary really touched on your family and how it impacted them. Your mum in particular. She had it obviously super rough. At what point? What was the sort of turning point then when you sort of found Taylor, isn't it, who came into your life? I mean, did you go through more rehab for months on end until you found Taylor, or?
No, Mom was scouring the country. We were ready to relocate anywhere,
right,
that had a program.
Yeah.
And we did find Taylor at the university that was here in Southern California.
Right.
And at that time, he was a young associate professor doing some really creative work with spinal cord injury and other people with adversity. And we really clicked at that time. And we set off on shifting the paradigm, I guess. We weren't listening to the old model. We weren't working within the box.
That's cool though. So he was on the same page as you as well, right? He's like, right, no, we're going to do things totally different. We're going to fight this.
We're just going to be super creative and, challenge this thing day in and day out. I mean, I train my ass off. I wish I trained like this for moto.
Wow. And what is it that Taylor did differently? And what were the physios doing before that? Like,
I mean, the physio before that was all well and good, but it's just kind of the same old model,
Yeah.
You start at a certain place, you have a certain amount of sessions, you try to get as much back within a period of time. But our approach was just more of a lifestyle shift.
Okay.
I was spending 4 to 6 hours, 6 days a week, in a student teaching learning lab. I'm a part of a classroom setting where I was the guinea pig.
Right.
And all these brilliant minds were experimenting on me, and we were trying different movement patterns and different sequences of exercises and different blocks of training, and basically not leaving any stone unturned. And through this process, I'm learning vicariously, or not vicariously, but like by osmosis. I'm just absorbing this.
Yeah.
And I become a student of my body.
And were you already at a point as well which was sort of defying the odds, or is where you were at quite normal?
No, I was progressing because we started right from day one. Okay. A lot of times people will let time go by before they engage a real rigorous program. And that's detrimental. I mean, you're already starting behind the 8 ball.
Yeah.
So we were starting with, my mind was right, in terms of how I was engaging my body. Yeah. The environment was right with what we did, the space that my mom facilitated, the home, our nutrition program, our sleep program. I mean, everything revolved around
being and conquering
making this happen.
Yeah.
Every day was consumed.
Yeah. With
only this.
All in.
I mean, it's all in. I mean, that's how we've done it. I'm not saying that if other people do the same thing that they're going to have a similar outcome.
Yeah.
You can't say that because all these injuries are different. But I'll tell you that, that's the optimal healing environment. And if there is going to be some real progress, that's how you got to do it, man.
Yeah.
Just like a championship. I mean, how does Dungy do it? How do these guys do it?
Oh man, it's non-stop. It's all in. It's like anything in life, buddy. I think if you want to be the best at it and you want to achieve something, you got to go all in. And it pisses me off when people don't go all in as well. It's like just give it a try, and this sort of half-ass stuff. It's like, nah. If you're gonna do it, let's go all in. Let's make it happen.
Well, what does Yoda say, right?
I don't know, man. I hate Star Wars.
just like
Enlighten me. What does Yoda say?
Yoda just says you do or you do not. There's no try.
That's so simple. Yoda's a clever motherfucker. That's
That's
perfect.
all I'm saying. I'm not geeking out on Star Wars, but
No.
I do listen to the quotes.
Yeah, that's pretty accurate. That is pretty accurate. Yoda can have that one for sure. That's good.
And the whole force thing is what I've alluded to prior.
Yeah. Okay, I like that.
There's metaphor everywhere. I mean,
Yeah, there is. I like it, dude. You're a deep guy. I like that. That's good. So you said as well in the doc that you saw a dream. You had a dream about cycling. Is that true?
Yeah, I mean, I've always ridden bicycles, but I never went full chamois. I never went full
Full chamois.
I always trained on mountain bikes and
Yeah.
whatever for moto. But yeah, I was pretty hopped up on morphine for a little bit,
Mm-hmm.
and my dreams were wild, and one really stuck out where I was just chamoised up. I lived in chamois. My hair was long, and I just rode bicycles all day.
Sounds like a good dream, man.
Yeah, so I mean that actually ended up happening.
Yeah.
I ended up sitting on a bike seat for a long, long time.
So how did you do, like, you've obviously done a lot of challenges and adventures, like riding across country on a bike. Obviously we're going to get to the walk as well, but
Yeah.
where does this drive come from, man, to just not just do it, but to do it to the absolute best and to go as far as you can possibly go with it? Where does that come from?
Why would you do anything less, man? I don't know.
Guess we just said that too, right? If you're gonna do it, like, go all in.
I guess. I mean, I don't have a desire to just do a little bit. I could be a pretty heavy addict, I guess.
Right.
If I'm,
yeah, if you're gonna do
I'm glad I focus my energy and passions into these physical things and not self-destructive, behaviors. I have, a family history of addiction and substance abuse, and I can sense that in myself, that if I allowed myself down that road, it would be a fucking slippery slope.
Yeah.
So,
And I'm guessing, throughout this whole experience, especially initially, there was times that you thought to hit the bottle is going to, I think you said that as well in the doc, that hit the bottle and numb some stuff, but it never really changes anything. It's a short-term fix with a hangover at the end of it most of the time.
yeah, that's a dark hole, man.
Yeah.
And I'm not interested in it.
No.
So, so I'll take, if I can do something a little bit, then I want to do a lot.
Yeah.
Like pedaling the bicycle, that we can transition right into that because that's a part of recovery. From the flicker of my toe to starting to move my muscles and starting to make things happen. The repetitive motion of cycling makes a lot of sense for neuro recovery because you're just trying to keep the impulses going to the muscles.
Almost like muscle memory.
Yeah. But the muscles know what to do, but you've got to keep the impulses going. Okay. So how do you, keep a steady stream of electricity going? And cycling. Sit on a bicycle and pedal your ass off for a few hours. Yeah. That'll do it. And so I would do that with electrical stimulation. They would hook my legs up and I would pedal on a stationary bicycle or a piece of equipment that would pedal for me. And I would stare at myself in the mirror and watch my legs work, to then noticing a tandem bicycle. Honestly, I'd never seen a bike like that before. And prior, never be interested in that. But for my current circumstance, I was like, yeah, that'll work.
Yeah.
Strap me on. I'll sit on the back and I'll just do some work with you.
Okay.
And that's what happened. My mother and I started pedaling the tandem bike, and true to my nature, we started with 5 minutes, 5 miles, 10 miles, and we did some LA marathons.
Right. Wow.
And we were giving a presentation one day, my mother and me, we were standing on stage talking to this audience and talking about the marathons and the tandem bike. And I said, shit. I mean, if we're riding this thing in these marathons, and why don't we just ride it across country like Forrest Gump?
And that's where the idea came from.
Yeah, I just blurted it out. So
you did.
So we did. So
Yeah.
it took 3 years to train for it and actually pull the sponsors together and make that production happen, be physically strong enough to do that. But yeah, my mother and a couple of my best buddies, Adam Bice, one of them in the film.
Okay. Yeah.
We did it. We pedaled the tandem bike cross country.
Crazy. How important do you think it's been for you to set goals that are quite elaborate and just focus on that and go towards that the whole time?
You have to, man.
Yeah.
I mean, at least for me, this injury is way too broad, in terms of recovery. It's too big. You got to eat the elephant one bite at a time.
Just keep chipping away, yeah.
When you set a short term, a long term, and an ultimate goal, then you've got like quantifiable, results.
Yeah.
Or something you can actually go to sleep at night going, yeah, I'm getting closer. I'm making progress. Otherwise, progress is way too hard to see.
Yeah.
In my condition.
It's cool as well. I know one thing you guys touched on during the documentary is like your mum wouldn't ever come and watch you race, and then all of a sudden bikes bring you back together and takes you on a crazy journey though, right? It's very similar for me. I remember being young and I think my mom came out and watched maybe twice ever, and the whole time she was petrified and then left. And it's hard to experience that unless you're that person. Does that make sense? Like, I don't have kids.
Yeah.
The closest I've been is my cousin raced Speedway for a while, and I used to go along and mechanic for him, and that'll get you, and Speedway's dangerous, man. 4 riders, no brakes, 70 mile an hour into corners, all that stuff, and that'll get you. I think that's the closest I've been where I've been like super emotionally just drained after a meeting. You're just like, whoa. Yeah, that'll get you. But I'm not a father yet, but I could only imagine. I mean, I've got a couple of nephews, and watching them go out and race little side by sides and their motorcycles and bicycles. Yeah. So that experience with your mum, then, that must have been really nice to get out and pedal and ride across America. How long did it take in total?
The first tour on the tandem bicycle, it was 3,182 miles. That took 3.5 months.
Wow.
That was across the bottom of the United States, so real close to Mexico.
Yeah.
Right into Florida.
And you did that with an RV, tour, like a motorhome, and you just stayed out.
Yeah, I set it up like a race. Like a race, deal where I was just going from spot to spot. I had it all mapped out, the logistics, and got sponsors. I got all the stickers on the side of the rig, and I would actually do some promo stuff for some of the sponsors that we had.
Okay.
And then the second tour was me on my own bike, pedaling the 3-wheeled bike, and my mom was on her own bike, and we rode side by side from San Francisco to Washington, D.C. That was 4,202 miles. It took 4 months.
Wow. Jeez, man. Was your mum a cyclist before this, or did she get into it just because of you?
I mean, she had ridden bikes and stuff, but no, she wasn't a cyclist.
She wasn't a cross-country, like, go across the States kind of gal.
Well, after sitting on the front of that tandem with me in the back, barking orders and being a backseat rider, she became damn good. She's a great rider. Right,
really? Is she does she still ride as well?
We actually rode the tandem last month for the first time in years.
Right.
We picked up and we were asked to join a charity ride, and so we trained for about 6 weeks.
Okay.
And we got back on the old horse and picked up right where we left off.
Nice. That's cool. What an amazing experience, though, to do that with your mum. That's really nice.
It is. It's cool.
Yeah, it is. And obviously, you almost did the Paralympics as well, which is another incredible story. But you again, you went too hard in the paint, and
Yeah, that's me trying to find the line, find the limit.
I think you
I
got
found
pretty
it.
close again, right?
Yeah, I found it. That and that's a beautiful thing,
Right.
because that journey, that cliche, it's all about the journey, and it's so true. It just is.
Mm.
I like telling the story because it's relatable for most people, in terms of setting a goal or having an expectation and sacrificing for it, and then it not panning out
Yeah.
the way you had hoped. And I'd already sunk 3.5 years of real intense Olympic level training into the goal of making it to the 2012 London Games. And I was single-mindedly focused on that. And then, when it didn't pan out, that's life.
It is, and you have to be content with it and move on to the next thing, right? But what was for people who haven't seen the documentary, what was the reason? Did you literally just went ham and burnt out, right?
Yeah, I mean, I was fully all in. I was sleeping in a hyperbaric chamber every day. I mean, I was doing 2-a-days, doing max outputs for TT, like time trial training.
Yeah.
Just overdid it. And my body was not having it with this spinal cord injury. I just created a lot of muscular imbalances.
Okay.
The body wasn't processing protein real well. My bladder started to distend.
Okay.
And it almost ruptured. And that's what put me in hospital. And that's where I sent photos to my coaches that were already in Rome. They were already at the World Cup, which is the final selection race for London.
Okay.
And I mean, on paper, and we were all super hyped. We were ready to roll. We were going to go win some shit. And, all my equipment was on point. I was ready, but
It wasn't meant to be on this one. Yeah.
no, that's all right.
Yeah.
Right.
So the main focus of the film is about the Death Valley Walk.
Yeah.
Which was a lone walk across Death Valley. For those people who are listening, maybe don't know, Death Valley is a part of land in California, is it? That's just...
It's one of the lowest, driest, hottest places on the planet.
Got you. Okay. And is that the reason you want to do that? Was that something that did you dream about that as well, or a nightmare or whatever that might be?
No. What had happened is, over all these years of cycling, I actually suffered quite a lot of dysfunction. I could walk better, like year 5 of my recovery than I could at year 10, because I became a very proficient cyclist.
So would those muscles almost take over the walking muscles? Is that kind of what happened?
Yeah, I created a lot of. I mean, cycling is an unnatural position to be in.
Yeah.
Anatomically, we're not built to weight bear on the pelvis on a saddle.
Yeah.
So I had all these chronic holding patterns, like all this dysfunction in my body that was keeping me from being able to stand upright with great posture and walk well, or function well. So after we didn't make London, I was like, okay, I need to just shut the cycling thing down for a little while. Just not get on the bike, start focusing on my cross training, and get back to functional movement. And I was actually pushing a shopping cart in the market, in the grocery store, and I'm hanging on to this thing, and the heavier it got, the better I felt. And when I walked outside, it was a windy day, and usually I'm very unstable in the wind. But I'm holding on to this cart, and I'm like, oh, I'm all right.
Okay.
Like, shit, I should just keep pushing this thing. Like, if I just keep walking with this cart for a long-ass time, it's going to be a good thing.
Yeah.
And that's when it dawned on me. I'm like, okay, I've seen this place in the desert where you got these rocks that look like they're just snails. Those moving rocks in the desert. And it's just endless. Like, it's miles and miles of just beautifully flat desert, endless desert. I'm like, I'm going to go there.
Wow.
I'm going to do that.
Wow.
That's where I came up with the idea.
And was there already plan to film all this? Or, like, that's one thing that I was keen to know is, was the film made for Netflix, or did Netflix pick it up afterwards?
They picked it up afterwards. I mean, the idea was just me going to my buddy Dominic Gill, the producer, who's just an adventure cyclist, adventure filmmaker. And I said, Dom, I'm planning on going out to the desert to do this walk solo. You know, I needed him mostly for the security, like backup, like just a person to be able to get me out of there in the event shit goes bad.
Yeah.
You know, don't go riding alone type thing. You know, and he happens to be a brilliant filmmaker. So he brought his camera gear and he just pointed the camera at me as I did my thing.
Right. So you filmed that and then everything else
And
almost
then-
afterwards.
Yeah, it was meant to be just kind of a short format little thing. He had done another piece on my cycling called All That I Am. It's a little like 5-minute short format film.
Okay.
It was brilliantly done. I loved what he did with that. And we were actually going to do the same thing with the walk. Just 5-minute short piece. But then he ended up coming up with this idea of like, let's use that walk as kind of the backbone, if you will, to the bigger story.
Right.
And so, you know, he took a handful of years and formed the bigger story, which is Coming to My Senses. And then they sold the film to the Orchard, and the Orchard put it on Netflix.
Wow. Well, it's beautifully done, man. It's such a well-made film. Like I said, me and my girlfriend thoroughly enjoyed watching it. And a few people have reached out as well since I posted that you were going to be on here, that they've watched it. And one guy said it was like cutting onions and stuff, which is really good. So it must be nice though, man, to know that you can impact people like that, because Netflix is a powerful tool, dude. You know, I think there's 400 and something million subscribers, isn't it? Or it's some ridiculous number. I can't remember. I used to know because I looked it up, but I had another guest or two on that have got a Netflix film called Death Grip, which is a mountain bike film. And I got all the numbers for that, and I was like, shit. Like, it's, yeah, you don't realize how big that thing is.
I really, my head's not wrapped around it. I haven't even looked. I know that I'm getting people reaching out from all over the planet, you know, with wonderful things to say, and I'm able to connect with them. And, you know, for so many different reasons, just like we started, you know, talking about this in terms of levels of relatability or layers to the story.
Yeah.
I am so happy that it's impacting in such a way.
Wow. And have you struggled in the past to sort of, you know, tell your story and help people before this? Does that make sense? Like, this is obviously a huge platform to work from, but before, you know, I know you do some motivational speaking, and you have your center, which I want to talk to you about as well, the C.O.R.E. But before that, has it been hard to sort of tell your story and stuff?
Not hard to tell it. I mean, I really do like speaking. I don't like to be known as a motivational speaker.
Right.
I like to do and let my actions do a lot of talking. Okay. And then if and when I have the opportunity to be in front of people or with people, then we're talking about the things that are being done, and we're talking about relating to people and human spirit, and it's more about motivating each other to become better.
Okay.
Or so, you know, if I hone my craft a bit more and I have a more specific or impactful message, then I'll do more speaking. But I have to approach it with the right tact and I'm just careful about that whole motivational speaker thing.
Got you. Yeah, no, that makes sense. So when you do these, is it schools and stuff that you're talking to mainly, or events, stuff like that?
It's been a pretty wild variety. I mean, I've talked to big, you know, business organizations. I've talked to schools. I've talked to doctors.
Wow.
Patients. You know.
Yeah.
It's pretty broad spectrum.
Okay.
Humans,
yeah, that's cool. But, so you have a center as well, Center of Restorative Exercise. That's a mouthful. Especially at the end of the day, that's a mouthful. So how long have you been running this? Where did it come from?
Yeah, I mean, that seed was a long time ago. My mother and I just realized that as we were discharged, there was nowhere to go. We thought, why is help so hard to find? And we conceptualized this idea of having a space with qualified clinicians and unique and specialized equipment.
Yep.
And it not feeling like rehab. I didn't want to be in rehab forever.
Okay.
So
it's a bit more chill.
This place. Yeah, well, we designed this place like a race shop. The concrete's ground down and nice and clean. The equipment's sharp and
nice.
It just looks inviting and progressive.
Right. And
that's what I need to motivate me.
Yeah.
So,
yeah. So who can join? Is it open to anybody?
Anyone.
Really? Wow.
Yeah. It's really inclusive. We like to call it integrated therapy. So you've got young athletes, you've got women that are managing their weight, you've got spinal cord injury, stroke, you've got veterans, you've got orthopedic injuries. People that want to work with high-level specialists that want to learn about their bodies and have it in a space where everybody's working alongside each other with different adversity.
Yeah.
So
a super motivational place to be as well. And what sort of equipment then do you carry? Is there anything super specialist that you have, which is hard for people maybe or only in normal rehab to get use of?
Yeah, I mean, we have a lot of Cybex stuff that's it's called the total access line. So like seats and levers and stuff move out of the way to accommodate wheelchairs. Got Biodex equipment that helps you walk, like harnesses and stuff, over treadmills. You've got special types of vibration plates and different things that are just pretty unique that you won't find in a standard setting.
Yeah. And is there anything new on the horizon? Do you keep a good handle on like scientific breakthroughs and stuff like that? Is there
Absolutely.
Is there anything happening which you guys are excited about?
Well, me personally, I'm actually highly involved in Wings for Life.
Yes, Red Bull guys.
Yeah, I'm actually on the board of directors.
Amazing. No way. We had, are you aware of Martin Ashton? Martin Ashton was a trials bike rider who had an accident and broke his back. He was on the podcast a while back, last year. He's a really famous mountain bike rider in the UK and globally. So he's also involved in Wings for Life, I believe. He's done some stuff for Red Bull. He's a good dude, really nice guy. He was on here for a long time chatting. It was a really good story.
Nice. Well, yeah, it's an incredible organization. I mean, they're doing such good work. They're really pushing the momentum behind science and research, funding the world's leading scientists in all different fields of spinal cord injury research.
Yeah.
They're really positioning themselves to be the global leaders. And their mission statement is to truly find a cure.
Wow.
So what's happening now is Red Bull is underwriting they always have, but they underwrite 100% of the expenses for Wings for Life, which allows them to put all their focus and all their funds raised into the science and research.
Wow.
That's pretty special.
That is pretty special, dude. I think the whole energy drink thing is pretty crazy because you got on the one hand, it's, how do you say it? It's not the best drink for your health. Is that fair? But then you have on the other hand, how much they do for sports, which we're interested in, action sports. They sponsor all the best athletes. They make it possible for them to do the job. And then on the other hand, if you had three hands, they're doing stuff like this as well. So it's pretty crazy. And it's really nice to see, though, that they're giving so much back as well. I mean, Red Bull, I think, are one of the market leaders in doing that. They do cool events and whatnot. It's just weird that it's this ethical thing with the drink. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah, I look at the brand Red Bull as more of a lifestyle than I see it as, a beverage company. I mean, what they do in terms of pushing human performance forward in so many realms is incredible.
Yeah.
I mean, they truly catalyze the most progressive humans on the planet.
Yeah, they do for sure, and they really look after their athletes as well, which is really cool. So there's a place not too far from where I live in Manchester, which is a Red Bull sort of facility for if their athletes get injured, they always seem to end up here in Manchester. So a friend of mine, Danny Maccaskill, had an issue with his knee, straight into rehab in Manchester, all paid for by Red Bull, and so they do give a hell of a lot back. So it kind of makes it okay that they're selling sugar water to kids. Yeah,
it's a little bit of a conflict, but overall it's a big family and everybody's looking out for each other. And so Wings for Life, I am so honored to be
I bet
a part of that organization, and we are going to find a cure, man.
Yeah. And I saw on your Instagram too, you have a scavenger hunt coming up. Is that right?
Yeah.
November,
where's that?
It's I can't remember the date. November the 3rd, possibly.
November 3rd.
Yeah. There you go, right there behind you.
Right there.
So what's this? Let's try and promote this thing a little bit.
Yeah, this is huge. This is November 3rd. Go to wflscavengerhunt.com.
Okay. I'll put a link in
That's a big deal.
description. And is it a national thing or is it America only?
It's Southern California, because what
Okay.
it is Fox Racing, Oakley, K1 Speed, and Volcom. Their headquarters are all located within like a 10-mile radius of each other.
Mm-hmm.
So that part of the action sports community, on this particular day, we're going to have all these challenges at all these headquarters.
That's cool.
And so 150 teams of 4 people, 1 action sports athlete, 1 spinal cord injured athlete, and 2 other people per team are going to go compete against each other doing all these fun challenges. And
That's cool.
Drive go-karts, and everybody gets amazing swag from the companies.
Wow.
But yeah, it's gonna be a hell of a time. A lot of fun.
That sounds real cool, bud. That sounds really good. I'm pretty jealous that I don't live in Southern California right now. That sounds fun. That sounds real fun.
Well, it's a great way to raise funds, It
is.
I mean,
and your sponsors seem to have been really good too. I noticed, throughout the documentary, you're wearing Fox. You were a Fox athlete when you were younger too. They've pretty much stuck by you the whole time, right?
I've got a great relationship with those guys. Todd Hicks has been my guy since '95.
Okay.
Loretta Lynn's 1995.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow, that's amazing. And he's still at the company too.
Yeah, he's still there. He is the OG.
Wow.
That guy, I think he was responsible for finding Stewart and Carmichael and all these guys when they were young.
All right. Have you seen the ACs looking for Stuart right now?
That's hilarious.
It's so good. Those blogs are amazing.
He's got such a great personality. He's so much fun.
He has. Those 2 episodes have made me laugh, that's for sure. Him and Mathers looking for Stuart. Who knows where that guy is?
Yeah, he's living life.
I know. He is definitely living life. All right, man. Well, I don't want to keep you too much longer.
Yeah, no, I'm all yours, dude.
It's cool, honestly. Like, what have you got on the horizon? Have you got any other challenges and
man,
things happening?
Something. I mean, this is a bicycle podcast, so
we try to be.
I'll show you this picture. I don't know if you can see it or not, but I ride this off-road recumbent trike. I call it the Honey Badger.
Right.
But it's can you see that?
Oh
thing?
shit! Yeah, I saw that on your gram. Yeah, so for people listening, it's like it's a trike kind of with huge fat bike almost tires.
Fat tires.
Yeah, it's got fat tires, and you almost lay in it and pedal.
Yeah,
you sit in it and pedal. Oh yeah,
it's like a gnarly couch on steroids. So, anyways, I'm riding that thing. I've ridden it down Kamikaze at Mammoth Mountain a handful of times.
Okay.
Averaging like 40 miles an hour down the fire road.
Who's the dude that's really famous for doing that? Is it Kelly? What's the guy's name? I can't remember.
There's a guy named Jeremy McGee.
That might be who I'm thinking of. He's been doing it for years, right? Like in a
Down
four-wheeler.
Oh, that dude in Whistler.
Yeah. Yes, that guy.
Yeah, he's gnarly.
He is gnarly. He is gnarly. I saw him. He like did some events at Crankworks, I think, this year and stuff. That's the guy. I'm sure it's Kelly. I can't quite remember. Sorry if for some crazy reason you're listening.
Yeah, I don't know him, but I definitely know of him.
Yeah.
I mean, that guy's he's sick. So, anyways, if I get my shit together and I'm strong enough, I'm gonna go race Kamikaze on the 23rd this month.
Really? Is there a downhill race there?
Yeah, it's the world's fastest downhill.
Oh, of course. Yes, I know which one it is.
Kamikaze.
Yeah, the old school one. Yeah. Wow. So you're gonna go do that?
Yeah.
That'll be dope, dude. That'll be dope. That's what's standing in the way? Like you say, wait, if you're strong enough, what's?
I mean, I got so sick last month.
Okay. Yeah.
With that parasite, I'm just rebuilding my strength and blood pressure and all the issues that I deal with. So I want to make sure I've got my my strength up so that I can rip that thing safely.
It's pretty cool that you have this facility as well, which is yours. So you're in the best place all the time for recovery.
Every day.
Yeah. What's a regular day look like for you?
I come in, I do my emails, I do, whatever busy office work stuff. And then, I usually carve out 2 to 3 hours for myself.
Okay.
That's out on the gym floor. Yeah. And then like tomorrow I'll be down at Red Bull and I've got stuff to do with them. And I do consulting with another company called Shield Healthcare.
Okay.
I'm their spinal cord injury lifestyle specialist. So I do a lot of videos and blogs and content production for them. And then I'm working on a Harley trike.
I saw that. Yeah, I saw that again on your Instagram. That's cool, man. So you're obviously from like a bit of a mechanical background anyway with racing dirt bikes. So are you building that for yourself to ride? And
yeah. Oh, hell yeah. I enjoy that.
Yeah. You're doing that with your dad too, is that right?
No, I'm doing that with the president of Shield Healthcare.
Really? That sounds fun. That sounds real fun.
Yeah, he's got a great shop, so he's got all the toys, all the machines and stuff.
Have you ridden it yet?
Not yet.
No,
I'm sorting it out. It's getting closer and closer.
Okay.
So
that sounds fun, dude. That sounds fun. Well, yeah. All right. It's been an absolute pleasure, buddy. Like, yeah, huge thank you for inspiring people and for doing this. Is there anyone you want to thank or anything like that who might be listening?
I mean, it's just an honor for me to work with Wings for Life. I want to make sure that wingsforlife.com is known. Amy and Anita and Stefan and everybody at Wings for Life, thank you. It's a real honor and a pleasure to be a part of that team. The Shield Healthcare, my wife Katie, my mother Laquita, my family and friends, everybody that allow me to do and be what I am. So yeah, man, thank you. And I will just keep doing my thing one step at a time.
I'm really looking forward to, watching how all this stuff evolves, man. Like, I'm stoked that I found you watching that Netflix thing. Looking forward to keeping in touch and trying to help as well where we can. If you're part of the family now, man, if you ever want to jump on here and do an episode, if there's anything you need to help promote, just holler and I'll sort it. This thing goes out to quite a lot of people, so hopefully people listening will go check the documentary out too, man, because it's good, really good, really, really good. Word. All right, buddy, let's wrap up.
Man.
And,
I really appreciate that.
Hey, no drama at all. No, thank you. Thanks for taking the time out. I know you're a busy guy, so thank you for taking. And the time zones are often a nightmare with this thing. I've recorded some of these podcasts at crazy times. So thank you again, buddy. Have a good rest of your day, and I'll keep you in the loop with anything that's going on here as well.
Right on. Cheers.
All right, man. Be safe. There you have it, guys. Episode number 57 is in the bag. Huge thank you to Aaron Baker, and I actually forgot to ask him for his social media outlets too. It's at I'm Aaron Baker on Instagram, and drop him a quick message if you have listened to the podcast and you enjoyed it. That's much appreciated. And as usual, huge thank you to you guys for stopping by and listening. If you have enjoyed listening, please leave us a review on iTunes or share the episode with your friends, anyone you think who might enjoy listening. That is also much appreciated. And don't forget, Zeb. Check out some of Zeb's music on Spotify and iTunes. It's in our Spotify playlist. It's the Hook It Podcast on Spotify. You can find it right there. And that's it. Don't forget to engage with us at the Hook It Podcast, Instagram, Facebook. We've got a closed Facebook group, and we've also got a mail shot as well. But all those things are in the show description below. And that's it. Let's let this song play out. Love of a Dead Man. Zeb, enjoy. Crank it. Peace.
They use you, abuse you, and bamboozle. Oh, give me the love of a dead man. Oh, give me the love of a dead man.
Okay, son. Right now your heart is like a long thin stick. Very easy to snap. And what you have to do is you have to take those two pieces and you put them alongside one another. That way next time is a lot harder to break.
Are you paying attention now? Have you listened to what I've said? I'll put your pride back in compass and sabotage you think where you head. Oh, give me love of a dead man. 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 Oh. Give me love.